guys. Um, there's kind of a word that has been thrown around recently in some of the stuff I watch. In any case, the term creative bankruptcy comes to mind. I think that's what they were saying. I don't know if I would necessarily even disagree with regards to Hollywood and with regards to maybe some of the more decadent areas of the U.S. and whatnot. There does seem to be almost a degree of that. So the question would maybe be like, how did we exactly get here? And I think it has to do with one's perception of progress, because there's the famous saying, bigger is better. And for the record, if you inferred some sort of double entendre from that, get your mind out of the gutter. But the notion would be that, like, there's a very degenerative idea of progress, right? One that substitutes avarice for innovation, the notion of growth as opposed to actually making things better, right? And I feel like that's kind of maybe where we are in America today, where there's a lot of people who want to make things bigger, but they lack any and all ability to actually make things better with what they have already. And you end up with these types of bloated corporations that are truly kind of incapable of moving with the finesse or the dexterity that is required for true creativity, of actually making things better. They only know how to really make things bigger. And that's somehow good, I guess. Anyways, moving on, we have a video by Dr. K that I want to review, and then I don't even know what I did. I failed and forgot to choose some sort of historical thing. Let me look that up now, actually. I could hum some holding music for you, if you like. Let's look up Jack Frost. That's a nice. All right. Now, we're good. Yeah, we're good. There. Yeah, Why You Can't Love Yourself by Dr. K. And there's an interesting thing to be said that I don't think, I've said this before actually, I don't think self-loathing is ever really helpful, but I don't know to what extent I think self-love is good either. Like, I think you should be comfortable with yourself, but not, I think you should generally focus on other people. It's like finding Horcruxes to put your soul into. No. If you find enough of them, in theory, it's not a bad idea, I guess.
The reason that it's so hard to love yourself is because you, right? Like,
That's true. I think other people, they tend to judge you by your actions, whereas you tend to judge yourself by your thoughts to some extent, which is just, it's a world of difference sometimes, and all the stuff that you think but don't do is gives one a very different idea of oneself.
Oh, this person really could be doing so much better, and they kind of choose not to. Even if the self-loathing is justified, is it productive? When you look at your thoughts of self-loathing, who is doing the looking? Because the self-loathing is inside the mind, which is the object that you are observing. I spent so much time in my own head, and the more time I spend in my head, what do you think happens? Does the loathing get...
All right. Hallelujah. Now, where are my thingies? There we go.
Better? No, it gets worse. Is self-love really the answer? I just need to learn to be happy by myself, be happy by myself, be happy alone, be happy alone, be happy alone. And then, are you okay, bro? Yes, I just...
Like, the whole notion of, like, I can be alone on an island and still be happy. Well, maybe it's true, but why would you want to if you didn't have to? I feel like people do a lot of stuff if they have to. Doesn't mean you should if you can do otherwise.
Need to learn to be happy by myself first. Seems like when it comes to the topic of loneliness and dating, you always see self-love being brought up. Love yourself first before getting into a relationship. If you don't love yourself, then how can you love others? I understand the rationale. If you're miserable and get into a relationship, it won't solve your problems. Instead, it'll just spread your misery to your partner. It'll drain them constantly.
Well, I feel like that's maybe another point. Like, when you're going into a relationship, not that I have much experience in this regards, but like when you're going into a relationship, the whole notion of being desperate for a relationship, probably not a good idea. It means you're going to let the other person get away with stuff that they probably shouldn't let them get away with, and you might choose someone who is actually a real piece of work. But I think in that case, it's better to have like a good friend base, to have like a solid foundation, certainly be secure in who you are, but to have people who you can use for companionship rather than being just this desperate, like I need someone to be around, and use that as a motivation for choosing your person who you want to spend the rest of your life with. I think you go really poorly if you're just this like desperate, lonely sort of individual.
Give you validation and support without receiving anything in return. However, when I see the topic of self-love online, it feels like you must be an enlightened monk who has achieved self-actualization before you even enter the dating market. Just taking a walk outside, you'll meet tons of people who are conventionally unattractive or have horrible character who are in relationships. It could be loving or abusive. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they are in one despite not having looks max or being a kind person. My conclusion from all of this is that dating, just like many things in life, boils down to a game of luck. Your attempts to gain wealth, status, and improve your looks and skills are all to increase your luck of finding someone.
That might not actually be entirely wrong, because I do think to some extent it is just like literally a numbers game of like the odds of you getting the person you exactly want at that moment are probably quite low. But if you keep doing it, eventually you will find someone. It's a question of like perfect causality versus sufficient causality, if you will. Like I guess I don't know if perfection really exists, so I tend to just think like, yeah, divine providence perhaps guides people together to some extent sometimes. With regards to like choosing a mate, like just I don't know how I feel about that, actually. Ignore that.
One attractive, but that outcome will never be guaranteed. Some people will lose. I'm not implying a black-pilled rhetoric that you shouldn't work on yourself, but it seems like everyone tells you you must be comfortable alone, and I want to prepare myself for that life path. I just don't understand. This isn't even about dating. Humans are inherently social creatures. How can you possibly feel content living through life without connections and people who love you for who you are? Friends, family, community, children. Okay, so we're going to talk about... So the team found a clip that I want to show you guys. This is hilarious.
The new norm of capacity, right?
Yeah,
so
so
now I just have
Yes.
10 pounds I carry.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
How did you get down to just
With
one
so
pile of
much
papers?
love for yourself. Yeah, it starts with
Wait,
setting
that was actually
like,
hilarious.
Yeah.
With so much love for yourself. Like, I love that is not the answer. And that's what we say to ourselves. And that doesn't help us. This is me thinking self-love is not the answer.
It helps in the sense of like it frees up, it allows you to actually do things. Like I feel like when we are so angry and mean to ourselves, we get really paralyzed, right? So that like perfectionism of like I'm never gonna be exactly what I need to be because I'm so messed up is like
Oh, yeah.
then I'm not gonna try, right? So like I mean,
so you weren't
tongue in
being
cheek, like
sarcastic. That's actually
I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can start there.
Which is hilarious. Okay, so that's Dr. Michaela. If you guys don't know Dr. Michaela, she's awesome. She teaches us many things. She is an awesome complement to my perspective because she's one of these people that understands self-love, right? So she was like, oh my God, with so much self-love. And I was like, ha 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 ha. That's hilarious. because I don't get self-love. So let's dispense with a couple of things. Is self-love really the answer? Okay.
Oh. So is this up to date?
Mostly.
At my last job, we used to...
So, first thing is people will say, if you don't love yourself, how on earth can you love someone else? And I will say, so easily. It is so easy to love somebody else, right? Because other people are decent human beings. Other people are productive. Other people are kind. Other people have shit going on. So this is like the first thing that I don't get. I find that it is actually way easier to love somebody else than it is to love yourself. It's like you can be the worst human being on the planet, and if you see a kitten outside
I feel it only really goes one of two ways, where it's either entirely easy to love other people or it's entirely easy to love yourself. Like you're going to be alternatively like way too easy on yourself or way too hard, and it's hard to find like a happy medium where you see yourself for what you are. Like self-awareness is kind of hard.
Cold. You can love that kitten so easily. You can love your kids. You can love your spouse. Like if you fall in love with someone, it is so easy to love other people. So this is the first thing that like I don't get that perspective. We're going to talk a little bit about how relationships with without self-love can be a problem. So we'll get to that. But like I think sometimes we forget that oftentimes you're the hardest person to love. And I think sometimes people who haven't felt this internal sense of self-loathing, like, don't understand this, right? So a lot of people will be out there and be like, learn to love yourself first, bruh, and then you can love someone else. And I think
that's a great impression of like a stoner surfer dude. Right? I'm assuming that's what he was doing.
there's like two kinds of...
That's how I would try to impersonate a stoner surfer dude. A stoner surfer dude, yeah. By the way, I did actually get a different mic, so... we'll see how that works out. It's been stupidly trying to hijack my sound or something, hence the analog headphones instead of the wireless ones. I'll have to see if I can figure that out. It's annoying.
There's people who sort of needed to discover self-love, and then there's people who have self-loathing. And those aren't quite the same, right? There's some of us who are like, don't really know how to love ourselves, but we're somewhere in like the neutral, like somewhere around zero, and then you have to learn how to love yourself. And then there's those of us who self-loathe. Those of us who...
you'd probably have to ask an actual psychologist, but I'm going to guess having like a solid family life growing up can have a huge impact on that. Or if you had people who did care about you and who had like a balanced perspective of you and would compliment you when you need to be complimented and insult you or edify you, sorry. Not insult, that's probably not productive, but like it would tell you where you needed to improve as well. Like that can have a huge impact going into your adulthood, like what you're willing or how you see yourself, perhaps.
Go to bed every night saying tomorrow will be different, and then waking up tomorrow and repeating the same fucking day over and over and over again. And then there's like people, like the reason that it's so hard to love yourself is because you, right? Like like this person really could be doing so much better. And they kind of choose not to. Because many of us live lives of like not self-love, but like self-appeasement. Where it's like this thing that I'm waking up with today is really not having a great day. So I'm going to just, I'm going to order a Philly cheesesteak with a side of fried rice. And I'm going to play Ruby's Resolve until I fix this artificial life on the internet instead of fixing my own. So this is where like, I get it. I think that self-love is hard to do.
And that's the point you made too about the notion of like, well, of escapes, right? Whether it's drugs, whether it's drinking, whether it's games or whatever. It feels like the more you try to escape to a different world, the more kind of this world that you're living in, sucks a little bit, right? It's like this is the most, this is the fundamental reality here. Okay, this is the real reality. So you kind of have to deal with it. I don't know.
On your own. It's really something that I'm starting to sort of get it, but I still really don't. So first
maybe it's better to say you have to decide where you're going to put your efforts and what you're going to put your efforts towards making better. Like you only have kind of a limited amount of energy and intuition and or intelligence and whatnot that you can put towards any given problem, and you kind of have to put enough into it to make it a worthwhile endeavor, kind of. So that's what I reckon.
Is when people say, look, it's hard to love you can't love other people unless you learn to love yourself. I don't think that's true. I think it's actually way easier to love other people. I think the other really scary thing is that self-love cannot be learned by you. It has to be taught. This is what's so scary. And there's so much data to back this up. Like, so this idea, right, of like being in a room trying to learn self-love is almost impossible to do. We'll give you guys a path at the end of this section. Like, so I'll share with y'all how you actually do this, but this is not how self-love is actually learned. You don't learn self-love by sitting in a room by yourself. The sad truth is that most human beings on the planet learn self-love through social conditioning. And there's tons of this. Doesn't mean that
it would be interesting if there was some sort of experiment that you could raise a person. I would be 90% sure they'd actually done something like somewhere in the world actually, where you would raise an individual in almost entire isolation and see like what would develop from that. Like what type of issues would arise, what type of strengths or weaknesses would present themselves in the character of the individual. It's strange. It'd be quite strange, I think.
You can't do anything about it. But I hate this because sometimes I'm left in a situation where someone is like, how do I learn self-love? And then I look at all this pile of science, and we'll get to that in a second, and I'm like, look, learning self-love by yourself is hard. And then people hear that and they're like, well, looks like I'm fucked because there's a loneliness epidemic. No one cares about me. I'm socially isolated.
I have to find a way to bleep that stuff a little bit. I should try a little bit harder because I don't like it. I don't mind hearing it, but I prefer not to have it in my own videos.
And it's like I'm not trying
to be fair. I don't like to hear it too much either. I have a very I feel like I have a very good imagination, and I feel like words just kind of poof. They kind of set off. There are words that are very evocative, and that's one of them.
Tell you that you're screwed. We're going to tell y'all how to try to fix this problem. And I think there is a lot that you can do. But I hate to be the one to say that human beings are biologically made to be social creatures. And if we really look at the science behind self-love, it is something that is socially conditioned, just like many other things. So I don't know if you guys have heard of something called attachment theory. So this is a very, very prominent theory in psychology that talks about how human beings form relationships, especially, and how our relationships are determined by our earliest caregivers. So there are three kinds of attachment. There's secure attachment, which about 50% of the people on the planet have. There's anxious attachment, which we'll get to, where people are worried that other people don't like them. So even if you're in a relationship, you don't feel comfortable in that relationship. And then there's about 25% of people have anxious attachment. 20% of people have something called avoidant attachment. These are people who have learned that emotional bonds are scary things to be avoided at all costs.
That's strange, yeah. Well, this is, I think, a problem that I think can arise in the mind of maybe narcissists or people like that, where they almost they'll confuse control and connection, right? For example, I think the notion would be that connection does not necessarily entail control. Control has connection as a prerequisite of it. But connection is not, it doesn't follow that if you're connected to a thing, if it's a part of you, that you must needs have control over it. But I think narcissists can fall into that trap of believing that you must be in control of anything that is a part of you. And consequently, if you cannot control anything, then it's not a part of you, which is just not the case if you think about it for half a second, because your body is doing all sorts of stuff right now and you have no direct control over. I mean, in theory, you could maybe do some sort of surgery that would govern some of it or something like that, or indirectly you could do something, but you're not in control right now. Your heart's beating, your cells are doing all sorts of chemical reactions. You're not really in control of any of this, and yet your body is very much a part of you, right? It's the same kind of with other people to some extent. The fact that you are connected to them does not necessarily mean that you are in control, and there's certainly hopefully a degree of influence or symbiosis there, but again, connection does not necessarily entail control.
And so about 20% of people are avoidant, and they try to distance themselves. So then 5% of people have disorganized attachment. That's when people have very serious problems growing up. But there's a really good way to sort of understand these three forms of attachment, and I think about it in terms of sex and intimacy.
I have to look up disorganized attachment sometime.
So if you're securely attached, sex becomes an expression of emotional intimacy, right? So I feel a certain way about you. I'm deeply in love. I'm playful. I'm supportive. I feel supported. And so the sexual activity, the physical intimacy becomes a reflection of that. So sometimes sex is passionate. Sometimes it's playful. Sometimes it's a chore, which can be totally fine. And then there's anxiously attached people where sex becomes a hook for emotional intimacy. So these people will oftentimes engage in sexual activity to try to pull someone in emotionally. I'm going to have sex with you so that you don't abandon.
I feel like the success rate on that cannot be very good, at least not long term. I don't know if that would be more a woman thing than a guy thing, but I guess I don't know. But it feels like just the fact that someone's having sex with you does not necessarily mean they like you, especially if it's like some sort of like very capricious sort of intimacy. Capricious? Presumptuous? I don't know. Where you're doing it right at the beginning of the relationship. I feel like, especially like if you just meet a person and you're like immediately like I just want to hook them into a relationship. Like I don't know if that would. I don't think that would work. Just intuitively, it feels like it wouldn't.
And me, I'm going to have sex with you to make you happy. Please.
It would not be the basis of some sort of like stable. It would not necessarily be the basis of some sort of stable long-term relationship. All right.
Stay, I will do whatever you want. And then avoidant attachment people use sex as a barrier to emotional intimacy. This is just a purely physical thing. There's no feelings involved. Once I buck...
It feels weird, kind of. I guess maybe that works. Yeah, I don't know.
Get you into a sexual object and we're in a situationship and it's friends with benefits, then I don't have to deal with all these emotions. I don't want any of these emotions. I don't want any of this emotional connection. That kind of explains these three attachment styles, okay? We've done a ton of videos on attachment. So here's the scary thing. People who are securely attached tend to have the highest level of self-love. And secure attachment comes through our conditioning. It comes through the way that our parents raised us. So if your parents treat you with respect, if your parents treat you with unconditional...
I don't know if I agree with that entirely, but like I think that there is a huge point to be made that like the way your parents raise you, how you grow up, that's like a huge impact on how you view yourself, how you view the world, how you view all of that. So I guess maybe it's quite a bit. There's a good bit of truth there.
Love, right? Then you learn to love yourself. If I take a kid and I bully him every day, that child will internalize the way that human beings treat them. That's what we do. Like, that's like literally what we do. So if you take a little kid and you say, oh my God, this Witta baby is the second incarnation of Jesus Christ. Oh my God, my Witta baby is the best Witta baby in the world. And my Witta baby has the best poo-poos and the best smile and is just the smartest Witta baby. And anything that he does wrong is not wrong. It's your fault. If you raise a child like that, the child will receive that conditioning and they will become a raging narcissist. They will become incredibly entitled. If I abuse a child growing up, they will internalize a negative sense of self-worth. So the first thing we got to understand, for the majority of human beings on the planet, the way that they determine their self-love is through the way that they are treated. Now, this creates a huge problem because if you were mistreated growing up...
Well, and this is a huge issue, I think. There's a reason why, dynasties aren't really a thing. Is because people, I tend to think it's because people who are raised in the houses of individuals who are rich, and they're raised in that type of environment, they come to think that that's just the default state of existence, and there's a lack of competition, there's lack of striving, and I think that type of, the bubble that they live in allows them to develop a really type of narcissistic worldview where the world exists to please me, every blow is softened, there's no type of really hard knocks that they really experience in life, and because of that, they just get this really warped perspective of reality, right?
If you don't love yourself very much, if you have some degree of self-loathing, which is, usually deserved, let's be honest. And I say this as someone who had a lot of self-loathing towards myself, and basically, like, I think a lot of it was justified. You know, I think that's the kind of thing that really, like, frightens me as a psychiatrist. Like, sometimes I have patients who come into my office and they're like, I suck at life and I don't do this and I don't do this and I don't do this and I don't do this. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I see what you're saying, man. Like, I actually, like, I get what you're saying. Now, what Dr. Michaela said is really, really important, because she said,
Well, I guess I don't know, like, to what extent should you find your identity in what you are versus what you do? It's like, the idea is like, okay, so you can't really change what you are as far as like immutable characteristics. What you do with that is something that's very much, or it seems like that's a far more doable thing. Say, okay, here's what I am, accept that it's writ. Okay, this is this. I'm never going to be 6 foot tall. I'm never going to be blah blah blah. Never going to be like a great talker or something like that. But here's what I've got to work with. Let's make the best of it. And I feel like that's maybe a more healthy perspective to take on it.
even if that's true, having all that anger towards yourself doesn't help you, right? So this is where, like, there's a lot of subtlety here. But if we're talking about self-loathing and self-love, even if the self-loathing is justified, is it productive? And that's what's so hard about this, right? Because if you've been conditioned in this way, you can't just wake up one day and fix it. If y'all want to dive deep into the most important topics for our community, check out HG Memberships. So the first thing to understand is that there needs to be no outcome from small talk. This is a Vasana too. Your mind is Vasanas all the way down. So the key thing about detachment is not that you don't have wants, it is that your wants do not control you. Membership grants you access to monthly...
I was thinking about something. I completely lost it because I was looking at this. Darn you, Dr. K. No.
streams, as well as a back catalog of a year's worth of content, in addition to quests and so much more. If you're interested, you can sign up for $10 a month at healthygamer.gg/memberships, or click the link in the description below. Hope to see you there. So what do you do about it, right? So if we're in this situation where there's like a lot of self-loathing, maybe there's an absence of self-love, we're also stuck because self-love is largely something that we learn from other people. We can gain it by ourselves. There are certain things that we can do. So how do we gain it? And this is where, you know, I kind of say this as a psychiatrist, this is where like therapy works really well, right? So if you think about what therapy is.
Okay, so is this from a happy birthday stream? I was just thinking, like, why is there balloons in the background? I'm assuming this is his birthday.
Therapy around self-love is, first of all, observing your patterns. What is the way in which you talk to yourself? Critically kind of analyzing.
Oh, no, I remember what it was. It feels like I was gonna say some in a pithy sort of way that, like, it feels like one of the best ways to make a person powerless is to convince them that they are powerless in some regard. Like, it feels like that's kind of one of the glitches a little bit. As, like, in theory, you have what is effectively objective reality, but also our perception of reality is very subjective. So if you can control that subjective perception of it, huzzah!
Does this actually help you or not? The problem with self-loathing is that when we listen to it, we don't actually improve our circumstances at all. And this is the really, really scary thing. I see this in so many patients where there comes this like critical point that it's really hard.
Come on, what was it? No.
Hard to dig yourself out of, which is if you have self-loathing to the point.
Sorry, I was thinking about something else there. So I remember the thing that I wanted to say right there, I think. But
that you deserve not to be happy, then things become really hard. It's almost like this psychological event horizon where once you deserve to be unhappy, then it's like congruent. Does that make sense? Then it's like, oh, I deserve punishment. This is my punishment, right? Like, I deserve this. So there's this weird kind of like martyrdom that I see in some patients who have a lot of self-loathing where it's like, okay, other people, you know, deserve way better than I do. I don't deserve a whole lot. I'm pathetic. I'm a loser. I screwed up, right? And then the moment...
Well, I guess I don't know how much I agree with this part. Look, obviously Christian, I think we as people, we do fall, we do fail. But this is kind of a Christian thing. But the notion that there is nothing valuable inside of us is, I think, entirely wrong. I do think we live in a fallen world. We are fallen individuals. We make mistakes. We sin. We come short of the glory of God. But within that, you must see that there is something valuable inside of you, right? There's some potential there that may be unrealized potential, but there is that worth that is there to some extent.
That you stop deserving something, then you don't strive for it. Like, you don't feel entitled to it. So whenever there's this spark that could turn into a fire of motivation and change, you tend to quash it down. And this is what really gets people in trouble in relationships. And when people say you have to learn self-love before you enter a relationship, I think this is what they're talking about. Because if you don't love yourself and you enter a relationship, you are entering a minefield. You're entering a war zone. Because if you don't love yourself, there are a couple of really terrible things that can happen. The first is you are vulnerable to a
maybe self-respect. That would be, in my mind, that would be like the better way of describing it. I don't like the notion of self-love, but well, and to be fair, like, I think the whole notion of trying to control your feelings towards yourself is not. It's one of those things where you almost have to. I think I've said this before, but I feel like action or instinct tends to follow action, not the other way around. Like, you can't just decide, you can't just will yourself to love who you are as a person. But if you act in a manner that is respecting of yourself and who you are as a person and whatnot like that, if you treat your body with respect, if you treat your being with respect to some extent, and labor in that regards, I imagine that type of, the feeling of self-respect or self-love would come along with that.
Abuse, manipulation, and being taken advantage of. And we see this all the time, where oftentimes people with anxious attachment, people who are afraid that you're going to leave, will enter into relationships with people.
That's the thumbnail. Abracadabra.
Who are afraid that you're going to leave, will enter into relationships with people who...
What was it? That was 1453.
Who are avoidantly attached. So the very person that you shouldn't be dating is exactly who you're attracted to. We also see this in cases of borderline personality.
It's like going to get food when you're really, really hungry. Probably not the best of ideas.
Personality disorder dates person with narcissistic personality disorder. So the person who thinks I'm the best thing on the planet ends up dating someone who will absolutely mold to them. So the reason people will say, okay, you have to learn self-love first.
It feels like that's actually probably true to some extent. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Is because if you don't have self-love and you enter into a relationship, if you're not careful, the person that you enter into the relationship with will be able to take so much advantage of you. Because when they mistreat you, you don't deserve to be treated well, right? So when people say this, they're not, I mean, I think it's challenging, but they're absolutely coming from a valid...
Yeah, I guess like I was saying before, like if you end up in the other end of the spectrum, you get some sort of sycophant who just says that you're the best thing in the world. Look, it feels like you might be on... Yeah, if you're not a well-balanced individual, you might be on either one end of this thing or the other. Yeah.
Place, which is
what I was going to say is that it feels like he had mentioned something about this before, but you have like what effectively, like in these types of relationships, you would have effectively what you would call like a folie à deux, where you, like if you're one individual who thinks this, it's bad, but if you're two individuals who kind of are building on each other's instabilities, it's really, really bad. Anyways, that's Why You Can't Love Yourself by Dr. K, aka Healthy Gamers, GG. Go check that out if you want to. Alright, Jack Frost. This article is about the personification of frost and cold weather. For other uses, see Jack Frost disambiguation. Blah, 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 blah. Jack Frost, the personification of... he weirdly just kind of looks... and sounds maybe like an old German type thing. Look at this. This is kind of... That's actually kind of bad. Bad in the good way. And freezing cold is a variety of Old Man Winter, who is held responsible for frosty weather. Name is a colloquialism from the winter season derived from ancient Greek mythology and world. Evolved into modern characters in both literature and popular culture. Alright, he's held responsible for frosty weather, nipping the fingers and toes in such weather, coloring the foliage in autumn, and leaving fern-like patterns on windows. Those are cool, actually. It's kind of like a fractal type thing that you can see on the outside of windows sometimes. Pretty cool. And fern-like patterns on cold windows. I don't know if fractal is the right word there, though. Started in late 19th century literature. Starting in late 19th century literature, more developed characterization of Jack Frost depict him as a sprite-like character, sometimes appearing as a sinister mischief maker or as a hero. Jack Frost is traditionally said to leave the frosty fern-like patterns on windows on cold winter mornings. So it'd have to be like somewhat recent, because I don't know when windows were invented. Window frost or fern frost, and nipping the extremities in cold weather. Over time, window frost has become far less prevalent in the modern world due to advance of double glazing. But Jack Frost remains a well-known figure in popular culture. Technically, you would still get this in cars if you like pour water on the windshield to get some of the like the snow or whatever off. You can still get that type of thing. But Jack Frost remains a well-known figure in popular culture. He is sometimes described or depicted with a paintbrush and a bucket, coloring the autumnal foliage red, yellow, and brown, and orange. According to other customs, he is said to be the husband of Susie Snowflake. I did not know that was a thing, Susie Snowflake. All right. A song written by Sid Tepper. Raspberry Clooney in 1951, alright. Tales of Jack Frost may originate from the Anglo-Saxon and Norse winter customs. The Finnish equivalent of Paksukko has an entire chapter named after him. In Kalevala, the Finnish national epic compiled from the ancient oral tradition. In Swedish folklore, the equivalent is Kungbor, King Bor, named from the Swedish writer Aulas Rudbeck. Copy that. There are various other mythological beings who take on a similar role, and have unique folklore to them. Yet have a unique folklore to them. In Russia, it has taken different form as Grandfather Frost, and in Germany, okay, it wasn't German then. There's instead a different entity altogether known as Mrs. Holly. Probably cuts off your toes or something. Frau Holly. Okay, I do want to look that one up sometime. Yeah, why not? Alright. Why not now? Who survived in popular belief well into the 19th century. Interesting etymology. The name is thought to originate from the German Huld, gracious, friendly, sympathetic. So this was a good person, I guess. I don't want to go through the etymology entirely. As Christianity slowly replaced Germanic paganism during the early Middle Ages, many of the old customs were gradually lost, assimilated into Christian tradition. Hello? Hello? Mm-hmm. Yes. Do you need... Alright, sounds good. Yep, bye. Oh, goodness. Where was I? Many old customs gradually lost or assimilated into Christian tradition. By the end of the High Middle Ages, Germanic paganism was almost completely marginalized, blended into rural folklore, in which the character of Frau Hulda eventually survived. In Germanic pre-Christian folklore, Hulda, Holle, and Hola were all names to denote a single being. Holda is also related to... She dwells in the bottom of a well. Lori rides a wagon and is first taught the craft to make linen from wax. First taught the craft of making linen from wax. According to Eric Timm, Percha emerged from the amalgamation of Germanic and pre-Germanic, probably Celtic, traditions of the Alpine region after the migration period in the early Middle Ages. Holda is the goddess to whom children died as infants go. Is the goddess to whom children who died as infants go, and alternatively known as both Dunkle Graubündner, Dark Grandmother, and the Weiße Frau, elements which are more typically associated with the German Grimm's fairy tales as well. Frauhaus Festival is in the middle of winter, the time when humans retreat indoors from the cold, and it may be of significance that the 12 days of Christmas were originally the Zwölften, which, like the same period from the Celtic calendar, were an intercalary period during which the dead were thought to roam abroad. Okay. Intercalation? Collation? Or embolism? Intercalation? Collation? Intercalation? That might be more appropriate now. Is insertion of a leap day, week, or month into some calendar years to make the calendar follow the seasons or the moon phases. Unisolar calendars may require intercalations of days or months. Interesting, did not know that. During which the dead without the Roman hold its connection to the spirit world. Through magic, spinning, weaving is associated with witchcraft in Catholic-based Catholic German folklore. She was considered to ride with witches on distaffs. Huh. Is a tool used in spinning. Is that where the idea of the broom came from? Was it not actually a broom? I don't know. All right. Which closely resembled the brooms that witches are thought to ride. Likewise, Holda was often identified with Diana in old church documents, as well as early as the beginning of the 11th century. She appeared to have been known as the leader of women and of female nocturnal spirits, which, in common with parlance, are called Hulden, from Holda. These women would leave their houses in spirit and go out through the closed doors in silence of the night, leaving their sleeping husbands behind. They would travel vast distances through the sky to great feasts or to battle amongst the clouds. Sounds kind of awesome. The 9th century canon Episcopi censures women who claim to have ridden with a crowd of demons. De Arte Magica. Have you believed there is some female whom the stupid vulgar call Holda in manuscript code, blah, 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 who is able to do a certain thing, such that those deceived by the devil affirm themselves by necessity and by command to be required to do, that is, with a crowd of demons transformed into the likeness of women, on a fixed night to be required to ride upon certain beasts, and to themselves be numbered in their company. If you have performed participation with this unbelief, you are required to do penance for a year on designated fast days. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, let's get back to Jack Frost. There's not really much more to it, I guess. The earliest reference to Jack Frost in literature is the book Roundabout Our Coal Fire, or Christian Entertainment, published in 1732. So the female is demonized, but the male is... No, technically, I guess he was... They had said that he was sometimes a villain. Jack Frost is mentioned in many songs, such as the Wintertime song, Christmas song, aka Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, Jack Frost Nipping at Your Nose, Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like SMOs. That's good. Nate King Cole, still the best. There's a Christmas playlist of Nate King Cole. It is baller. He's been presented as a villain and sometimes, as a villain in some media and as a hero in others. All right. Now that's Jack Frost. All right, let's see if we can do some Evil Genius 2. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir, and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe help to tiny tots with their hearts all aglow will find it hard to sleep tonight. I think we're good. They know that Santa's on his way. Lots of toys and goodies on his way. And every mother's child is gonna swim to see if reindeers really know how to fly. Alright, no more Christmas stuff. This is serious business. Now, several hot puffs appear in the underworld, strike while the iron is hot.
A scheme has succeeded.
Huzzah. I don't know if there's anything else going on, so.
Salaries paid. Your scientists have discovered something.
Yes indeed. Yes, I got all that. Could do traps maybe? Giant fan. Giant magnet. Freeze ray. Freeze ray! I feel like I just have to do that.
Research has begun.
Despicable Me. Alright, now, let's see if... There's the heat. I need to upgrade some of those things at some point. I still have room for... Three more? Progress, right? I think though, alright, that's what I actually do. That's what I'm doing. Alright, that's not gonna take long. We'll leave that. So this decreases the rate heat builds at criminal networks by a small amount. Even gets the movie channel. Lookouts will warn you. Lookouts will warn your minions in the field of danger. Increase.
A trap has been triggered.
Fast at all.
I want that intruder captured. Hunt them down.
All hands on deck.
Okay, I think we got operations. No. That's right. What's this one? Ham radio. Free broadcast strength. Nice. Nice. Look at that. It's actually super helpful. We'll leave this for now. Back to the stage. Make sure everything is where it needs to be.
An agent has been subdued and captured. We have captured an agent.
Get him.
An intruder has given us their secrets.
Okay, how does it reset? Oh, no, there we go. There we go. Alright. I should probably save some of that, but at the moment. Okay, where?
A scheme has succeeded.
I think I still need to choose an actual objective here. Alright, side story is optional. What's my total? Yeah, might as well just wasting money here. I assume at some point I'll want I could just build some sort of power station back in here. Or extension. Or science. I feel like a science lab would go well back there, right? Alright. Laboratory. Let's go. As soon as I get out. There we go. That'll take a nice chunk of that change. At some point I should actually...
A scheme has succeeded. Your scientists have made a breakthrough.
Alright. Now, global operations.
Research has begun.
I'll get all this stuff out of here. What I could do too is set up another power station over here as well. Like the vault. Well, that's the thing though. I think I need room somewhere. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'll be able to put the layer up in here. But at some point, I think I have to create this, and I'm not sure if I could put it back in here. I think. Just see if exactly what that does, but... Oh, okay, that actually does help. For teetotalers, cocktail bar. Doesn't show up like a... That's not it. That's not the sort of thing at all.
A trap has been triggered.
Dagnabbit.
Salaries paid.
I want that intruder found and captured.
Punch him. Get that one too.
I want that intruder grabbed as soon as you spot them.
Get the guards. Oh. I could put those things in here if I want. But I don't really... At this point, I don't really need... Still haven't even, like, halfway placed all these in that.
An agent has been subdued and captured. We have captured an agent.
We do for a while. Alright. Again. I want... I could run the corridor along this edge. Maybe? I feel like I'm just gonna have to fill in this laboratory thing here. A little bit this way. Hey. I could just run that laboratory along this side and turn this into a vault. We'll go like so. Failed to send. That'll be the vault. This legal laboratory. That's why that wasn't working. You know what? I might leave that there and just stick a whole bunch. Glory that's passing over the walls. No. Nuclear. About that part, it's like the nucleus of an atom or whatever, so that's nuclear.
Interrogation success. An agent has given us their secrets.
Who's this henchman?
A scheme has succeeded. Your scientists have discovered something.
Alright, let's do that.
Research has begun.
Oh, okay, that's where... Okay. I'm assuming that's one of the ones I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, I'd like to get to the point where actually we can distract these guys, like legitimately. Yankee Doodle dandies coming around. Alright, yeah.
An agent has escaped captivity.
What the? Harry.
Salaries paid.
Dude. Get him.
Battle stations. High alert. Cancelled. An interrogation has succeeded. We have more intel. An agent has been captured.
It's actually really lost one. Alright, where? Power station. I think. Yeah. Huzzah!
A new criminal network has been established.
There we go. That will be a total of 91. Alright, let's just... That's 70.
A trap has been triggered.
What the Harry? Ah. Get him.
Locate and grab that intruder.
He's on my right. There we go. That's the correct angle. Alright, let's do some science stuff. I feel like I need more technicians.
henchman has joined your organization.
Welcome to the team. I trust the minions briefed you
Nice,
on your
alright.
way here.
You evil geniuses are all the same. Something about a new criminal empire?
Oh, but my plans are so much grander than that.
The last one said that too. Let's see what you're made of.
So, boss, what do you think of your new lair? It's good, right?
There's something wrong about it.
Oh, I like it. It's bright, it's cheerful. It's the colour of our swell uniforms.
That's it. That's what's wrong with this place. I have to look at you. Build me an inner sanctum. Use lots of gold.
Gold. Anyone else think it's weird that the Germans are like just, well, I guess maybe it's not
We have
weird.
captured an agent.
Perhaps a little bit intuitive, but the Germans tend to be depicted as the bad guys. Besides the French, and maybe the English, they're maybe one of the few people who can like actively disparage and define what it is. Oh, this isn't the literal thing about it. Unfortunately, what if there's like a better type of air conditioning you can do? Rotated either. Researching right now. Yeah. sanctum. I'm supposed to build an inner sanctum, alright. Yeah, stupid. Oh, there we go. That did it. You know, there's this like show called Third Rock from the Sun back in the day. It was kind of funny. There's like aliens who were kind of discovering human bodies. If that makes sense. They were discovering the joys of sneezing.
Not enough gold to complete this construction.
I think it's still some objectives I need to collect yet, anyways. There we go. Hopefully be enough. Alright. And the problem arises that I might not have enough.
A new tier of research has been unlocked.
Inner sanctum. Ooh, huzzah. But the vault comes first. So like I could use that for something else. Like this is probably big
Not
enough.
enough gold to complete this construction.
Alright, there we go.
Salaries paid.
Now it's expanded once we get the rest of it figured out. If I need to. Alright, let's start. Alright, advanced radio repeater. Broadcast string. Oh, okay, so it's a better radio repeater. Interesting. Powers up satellites around your island, providing free broadcast string. Requirements. Look at the requirements. So there's some story thing, I guess. Okay, let's go with that. Yes. Check here just to make sure. Yep. All that requires. Yeah, alright. Global operations. Over here.
Research has begun.
Hmm. 200,000. Yeah.
A scheme has succeeded.
team that succeeded. Alright, yeah, why not?
A scheme has succeeded.
Oh, glorious. Where's that one? Oh, no, okay, you won't cancel that. This one's a little bit high. Blast. And there's nothing to lower it at the moment. I could upgrade that one. Still have 2 more broadcast strength too, so see, I don't know if I want to do that with the ones I have or upgrade some of the much of my thingies. Let's just put up a new. All right. Should move some of these guys. This is always just, it's just gonna be
A criminal network has been upgraded.
Huzzah. Where am I? 275,000.
Interrogation success.
Speak your mind.
Apply training. Give the training hit cost percentage on active target. Long. Teleports to a target location just like
A new criminal
what the?
network
Wind
has been
cannot
established.
teleport. They're being facetious. Alright. So I guess they just default do the interrogations. Maybe they're better at it? Yeah, this old guy interrogate him like a pro. Come with me, young feller.
A scheme has succeeded.
Squirting it. A bomb? Where's he have to defuse it?
An interrogation has succeeded. We have more intel.
Alright, let's study this guy's methods. Why is that valet in here? Oh, he's getting rid of the body. Willy. Plug him in. I'm assuming that's spraying him with some sort of condiments or something. It's a bomb.
Interrogation success. An agent has given us their secrets.
Alright. Alright, impressive, yes. Impressive is cool. There's no impressive desk. It has to be centered so as to be imposing. Still reinforced door as well.
Not enough gold to complete this construction. Salaries paid. An interrogation has succeeded. We have more intel.
Do we have any break-ins recently? Maybe the guys are doing their jobs. I should probably hire some more valets. Not sure. Like, I assume you have to have all of these kind of men.
Objective complete.
Now this is all set up, it's time for me personally to take over the world. Cancel my calls. I'm going into politics.
Done. Believe it or not, you don't get that many calls. What with this being a secret lair and all.
That'll change once they elect me to be president of the world.
Optional objective complete.
All right.
Interrogation success. An agent has given us their secrets.
All right. Bribe governance stage. Hello.
New research has been completed.
Still can't do that. Still can't do that. Still can't do that. Somehow I have to pass some threshold here. Is there anything I have? No, do that. Alright. Now.
Research has begun.
Alright, right people on the world stage. Let's do that. Ooh. And I have to capture these guys, I take it, right?
I need that intruder taken in once you locate them.
This part I don't remember.
I demand that intruder be located and captured.
Interrogate political engagement. Purchase a country. Purchase a country. What the? Purchase a country. I didn't even know that was a thing. At some point, you actually get like a roulette table, not roulette tables, like slot machines.
A scheme has succeeded.
Where's this scheme that succeeded? This one? Ooh. Maybe not right now. I need a lot of gold right now.
A scheme has succeeded. Workers, apparently. We've got a new prisoner.
Do you see that intruder? Capture them!
An intruder has been captured.
I got that feels like, oh, political aids. Huzzah! Got all the political aids we need. Now, world stage. I need a couple of those things up and running, I guess. This thing needs to be cooled down. What I do need, though, is a little bit more, a little bit more room. The barracks. I think the cafeteria is good for now. Definitely.
An intruder has given us their secrets. An agent has been captured. An agent has been subdued and captured.
Yeah. Alright, now I think I want. I can do this first. I'll build the wall. This is gonna be a great wall. I need something on the center here that I can just build something up against.
succeeded.
That's gone. That's gone. Here we go. That's the one. That's the lowdown skunk down after.
Salaries paid.
So I want to keep an eye on it. I feel it's gonna go off. I feel like it's gonna go off if I do anything more. Huh. Okay, why is this a thing? So this is a thing too, neural network. So you can literally... Why is that? Why are the oceans a thing? So maybe at some point you can build something that allows you to do that, I guess? Up above. Anyways.
New optional objective available.
Is that so? Alright, there's no news like fake news. Oh, so maybe this is what I need to be doing here. Alright, start side story. BBB. Slot machines, alright. That's probably a good idea.
Look at these headlines. They're saying I'm a heartless criminal who would rob banks.
You would.
Aren't you? Strike Team 8 did that last week by your express order.
Maybe, but I'm not heartless. I have an image problem, that's all. Find me someone who can fix that.
You mean someone who can airbrush your pictures?
A public relations specialist, you dolt. Someone who'll make all this fake news go away.
No. Alright. Lovable scan. We'll pick a different one. What about this guy?
A scheme has succeeded.
Now, that can cool down. And interrogate these remaining guys. So the ones, I assume this is like an active, the dots are like active jobs. Active. Not active, it seems. Let's do that one for now. Active. Also active. What the? Oh, I know. It's missing. Alright, there we go. Yeah, we're good. Wait a minute. Is this the one that's not active?
An intruder has given us their secrets. Does that mean they're unmanned or they're... I think we're good. I think we're good. Alright. Now, I think we can get it. Let me do away with this thing here. A scheme has succeeded.
This is gonna have to build up at some point. I think it's gonna build the correct sort of thing. This should probably be or something. That's all you need is for this. Oh yeah. Corridor back to there, technically.
An intruder has given us their secrets.
Alright, multiple blades. Where they need to be. Oh, I need to interrogate the spin doctor. Where's the spin doctor? That's not it. I didn't bring him in yet. There we go. And actually, I think that'll probably be enough for today. That was fun. Thanks for watching and such like. If there's anybody watching. The only thing I see on the chat is something about free viewers, which I don't necessarily want, but I guess thanks for... Anyways, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please press like on... Now, forget that. This is a stream, not like a video. Anyways, bye.